Welcome, everyone. I appreciate everyone joining today, taking the time to register, but more importantly, taking the time out of your busy day to join us for this month's webinar. We have the great pleasure to have Kimber Freeman from Pools Plus out of Hampton, South Carolina. So I want to welcome Kimber to the webinar and also just taking the time to prepare for today's content. I know it's several meetings that we had and conversations that we had in preparation for today's webinar, and I really appreciate you taking that time, Kimber, and being our participant today. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So today we're going to go over the agenda for our webinar, and very similar to if you've participated in our webinars in the past, we really like to showcase and highlight a lot of the features that Lou has to bring and offer to you as a business management tool. And we really focus these webinars around key features that have been extremely helpful for some of our existing clients that have recently moved to Lou. And we're going to review and talk about Kimber's top 3 Lou features. And then we'll provide a quick introduction for Kimber and her company that she works with at Pools Plus out of Hampton. And but first, want to just introduce you to a couple of folks who are on the call with me, Team Lou here. I've got Shannon Stein, who's one of our Lou subject matter experts, and she's on board to answer any questions that you may have. And I really want to encourage, if you have questions, please go to the bottom of your screen and where you see the Q&A, go ahead and ask your questions, and Shannon would be happy to provide any answers, and just really encourage you all to ask those questions away, and we'll provide you some answers for your questions. Also, just a few things. If you would like more information about Lou and what the product is, and more in-depth, maybe personalized one-on-one demo, you can always email us at lou@evasys.com. Be more than happy to schedule some time with you to do a deeper dive into some of the features that you might be looking for that Lou can provide and streamline and simplify your business processes. We also have a new update where, in addition to our monthly webinars that we carry with a client on the first Wednesday of each month, we're introducing weekly webinars that we'll conduct on very specific topics around Lou. And when those topics come about, we'll do a deeper dive into specific features about Lou, and we'll be recording those as well. So if you'd like to have a copy of that, you can always email us or let us know if you would like any further details in regards to those. You can always go to evasys.com/lou/demo and view our calendar. We've got 3 weeks always scheduled out, so you can see what upcoming topics are available to you, and registered, much like you did to this webinar, for those webinars as well. And we'll send you a personalized invite to those webinars for you. We'll also go into today some product roadmap about Lou and what's up and coming with Lou. We're always making enhancements and adding new features to Lou. We have a public roadmap out there on our evasys.com website, and you can always view our roadmap there as to see what's up and coming. And really, it's over the next several months and years that we're going to be definitely expanding the capabilities of what Lou can do. We'll talk a little bit about Lou pricing, very simple, easy to understand, and I'll show you that real quick and what that looks like. We'll talk about what Lou go live dates look like. We're selling right now into April go live dates, so there's a little bit of time for you to get yourself set up with Lou, and getting all your company information into that typically takes about 6 to 8 weeks, depending upon the volume of which you are looking to key into Lou. And we'll look at some good go live dates in the schedule that we have currently today. And then we'll wrap things up with a little bit of Q&A at the end, answer any questions that might be out there that are that we want to bring up or discuss further from there. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started today. And I want to introduce Kimber. Kimber, if you want to just take a minute to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about Pools Plus there in South Carolina, and I'll let you introduce yourself.
Sure. So we are fairly new to the industry. We actually purchased a pool company that had been in business for 5 years, and we are going on 3 years. So over the course of the last 3 years, we have lived and learned, so to speak. A lot of our services that we offer are basically a pool building, installation, and maintenance. So this system has been exactly, what we've needed to keep us on track.
That's great. When you were looking at deploying a service like this, what were some of the things that you were looking for when you were looking at a service? What were some key things that you were looking to enhance or to improve upon?
Inventory management was huge for us. We do have a retail store, so we sell, a lot of goods and chemicals. That was the biggest thing, and the other thing was trying to tie everything together. I was using, multiple systems to be able to create work orders, to create a schedule, to keep track of inventory, and so on.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the great things that Lou does is a lot of folks out there maybe using multiple platforms, and Lou does a really nice job. And as we continue to evolve Lou and grow Lou, it's just going to become even more and more robust to really be an all-in-one tool like it is today, but just even more and more extensive when it comes to features within Lou. I do know, or as you can see, it sounds like, or it looks like you all went live in June of last year.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that process and maybe how your onboarding process was in getting set up with Lou, and just kind of articulate a little bit about that experience.
Well, Lou was really awesome as far as having the support there that we needed. What I did lack was from my previous system, I had no way to populate the SKUs. So I went in, I manually entered them all. So the onboarding was very smooth. Everybody with Lou was very supportive. They offered to help teach me how to put all of these SKUs into a spreadsheet and to be able to move them over. So all in all, everything went really well. We were very impressed with the system once we got up and running. It was just time consuming, really moving all the SKUs over, and everything was very user friendly, so to speak. It just takes time to be able to navigate each part of the system. And so my advice is always take your time doing it. That way you have everything exactly how you want it. So when you go live, then you're up and running and everything's working as expected. And when we went live, everything was wonderful. It was very easy to train the employees, and they enjoy using the system as well.
Yeah, that's great. I think, you kind of hit on a point when talking about the ease of use. We really promote the simplicity and speed of Lou, and Lou is very easy, user friendly, interface that really it takes just minutes, if not, a short period of time to really get familiar with, and everything just makes logical sense. So great comment there. So thank you. Anything else to comment to that, Kimber?
No, I'm just glad that we utilized our full 6 to 8 weeks. I thought when I first was getting up and going, everything was so easy to use. So I'm like, oh, I have all this together in 4 weeks. You guys are whatever. But I realized really what took me the most time was importing all of our SKUs. I didn't know how many SKUs I had. I had no way of tracking it before. They actually asked me, they said, how many SKUs do you have? And I was like, I have no idea.
Well, that's good. It's a
So
good way
now
to get it
I
all
can tell
cleaned
you
up.
how many SKUs I have.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, let's get into the content and kind of get some things going to kind of show folks, how you're utilizing Lou. And I think the content for everybody will be extremely helpful, get a real good insight as to not only just what Lou provides, but how Kimber has really incorporated Lou into her organization and just really made her life a lot less stressful and much easier. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to kick it off with her top three, and we're going to start with her number 3 item, and that's essentially Lou's transaction workflow. And it's really taking it from start to finish when it comes to creating an inbound call. You get a work order established, you set that out to become an invoiced item, you collect payment, and just showing all the historical information that's there. So I'm going to switch gears here, and I'm just going to, first of all, just get confirmation we've got, I've got screen share here going. But Lou is very simple if you're not familiar with it, but Lou is very simple. It's just as easy as going to lou.evisys.com in a Chrome browser, and it takes you to the Lou sign in landing page. And I'm just going to simply put in my username and password. I'm going to hit sign in. That's simple. And what you're going to see here is Lou's landing page with all these colorful tiles that are available for those types of transactions or things that you want to do within Lou. So as you can see, we really start with customers because they're our most important asset to our business. And then we just kind of walk through the process in which things may go through estimates and sales orders, work orders, and then, viewing invoices and how payments are collected and so on. And we're going to get into a lot of these particular details throughout this demo. But I think as we think about workflow and the ease of initiating a process with a new order or a new request from a customer, why don't you kind of walk me through a little bit, Kimber, and we're going to go into our customers tile. And I'm just going to pull up one of my favorites here, Mr. Sam McIntosh. And what you'll see here is just the customer profile. So it's got all their information here, their contact information, and their billing address. One of the nice things about what Lou can show you is if you have a credit card on file, it'll show this card icon here with this badge here that is indicating a 1, which means that we have a card on file for this customer and can be used as a form of payment for any transactions that they are conducting. And then as you see here, you've got all these tiles based upon specifically for this customer with all those details. So Kimber, why don't you kind of talk with us a little bit about this particular feature that we want to walk through when we talk about workflow, and I'll just kind of pilot the way through here on the demo.
Okay. So whenever we answer the phone here at the office or store, a lot of times what we'll do is we will go ahead, and he already has the customer pulled up. We would enter the customer if they're not already in the system. If they are, we just go to their name. While we are on the phone with them, we will go to work order to be able to create the reason that they're calling. So here it shows again their demographic information, and then you can put in what their request is. A lot of times what we'll do is we'll start an interview for, let's say for a green pool. They call and their pool's green and they just don't know what to do. So if we click on start interview there, you can set up your own questions. That was one of the great things I liked about it. And here, when we start our interview, we'll just go down each question and we'll answer it. So is their pump working? How often are they running their pump? What type of filter do they have? Yes, and we'll type in the answers that they give us. And basically this information helps us translate it to the technician that's going out. And then we're able to save it. And so the next person that sees the work order when they go out to that location will say, okay, well, they haven't ran their pump in, 2 weeks. So maybe that's why it's green. Or, we're just obtaining information so we could diagnose what is actually going on
And
with their
and
pool.
and one thing I will note to everybody is when you open up a new document like this, in this case, a work order, when you see these hyperlinks for start an interview, these items, as Kimber had mentioned, are all customizable. So if you want to ask very specific questions within the interview, all these questions can be created on your behalf. So in other words, if you're looking to diagnose something fairly simple over the phone so that the technician, when they arrive, a lot of these questions may be applicable or not applicable, but it's all customizable and you can create it as to what fits your business and what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, there's actually an option to where you can have like a toggle yes or no as well, instead of like actually typing in the answer. So there's
Uh-huh.
multiple things that you can do with it.
The other thing I would note here in the work orders, we have this feature, it's called site profiles. And we'll talk about that and I'll show you what that looks like when it comes to the actual work order document. But it's another great feature that provides some notes to those folks that are out in the field that are maybe conducting the service call.
Yes, and we can enter in the task type. So we know that we're going to clean a pool. The schedule division will actually is the division that you'll see whether it's pool cleaning or consult. So that organizes your schedule for you. And then by selecting department, it can be construction or pool cleaning or whatever option that we have there, service. And then distribution method. For that's on actually a lot of documents, and you can have like on site if you need to take a chemical there, or if you did your interview over the phone, so you can actually customize what your selections are there as well.
So we'll go ahead and create this. And one thing I'll just note to everybody is when you open up documents within Lou, you'll see that the formatting is all very consistent. So you know exactly what you're looking at. You know exactly where information is that you may be looking for, and it's all formatted in the similar way so that you're not having to get used to, okay, this view is a little bit different from the previous view. So
Yeah, one of the actual underneath update and description where it says no SKUs, that feature I actually have been using a lot recently, and I'm able to put in a name. So when I'm scrolling through my work orders, I have a idea of what the work order is for. So that was really nice. You actually have the map here showing the destination, and that's really handy. You can zoom in, zoom out, see the pool if it was built within a certain amount of time. The satellite version shows you kind of the landscape. Your request is over to the right. Yes, the map is really awesome. Um, and then the next thing that you would go to is actually the schedule. You want to add the task to your schedule. So this allows you, if they're going to be on a particular route, you can set them up. So whenever your technicians go out, they have their list for the day. And then as you scroll down, you have your task type and division that you already selected. If it's incorrect for some reason, you can change it. And then how much time you're going to allot for them to go out, whether you want them to be there, an hour or longer. Whenever you scroll down, you can select the time frame to put them on your schedule. So the beginning of the day, or 12 o'clock. And then let's say if they wanted an earlier appointment, you do have that toggle that gives them the option if somebody cancels or if something goes on, then you can move them to an earlier time frame.
And what's really nice about that feature is that when we go to the schedule, and let's say Sam had said, "Hey, I'm available for an earlier appointment. Should that work in your schedule?" That'll allow us to maneuver that to maybe better uh, uh, have a more efficient day and to optimize our
Right.
day based upon location or time frame or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. And then here's where you would select your personnel that's going to actually, this is going to assign this task to their schedule. If you have a specific vehicle that they need to take, or any assets, all of this, you would make those selections here. And those options are customizable as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then your asset could be if you need the pool pump. Exactly. Yeah. And all of that is a really great feature. So it has the person scheduled in the exact spot that you need them with all the assets that they need that day.
One thing I'll note to everybody is if I have chosen some of these personnel, you can see I've got myself and Shannon as a helper to help clean this pool. If the schedule indicates that she's already committed during that time frame, Lou will tell me in red bold letters, "Hey, Shannon's double booked, so you may want to choose another helper or another personnel to join." So it's nice to kind of be a little bit proactive when it comes to scheduling things so that you're not double booking people, obviously, because they can't be in two places at one time.
Right, exactly.
All
And then
right.
you do have the option to color code it. So on your schedule, if you would like to know, hey, this color means green pool, then you have that color option available.
And this is really helpful when it comes to looking at the schedule, is to kind
It
of
is.
not only just the tasks that are there, but by color coding, you can get a visualization as to what your day may consist of.
Exactly.
So go ahead and create that. And as you'll see here, that task has now been created for this pool cleaning with all the details and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bounce out here real quick and go take a look at the schedule and talk a little bit about the calendar. I think it's just something that's worth pointing out real quick. If I go into this calendar feature under the schedule, and the schedule tile is really there from a holistic view. So maybe from a dispatcher, or maybe someone wants to see what is going on for the day. And as you can see here, all my personnel. And then here's this pool cleaning we just scheduled for today at noon. What's really nice is I can see that, we've got some color coding going on. We've got some jobs that have been completed, indicated by the gray out and the check mark. And let's say Sam calls in and said, "Hey, I'm not going to be around. I've got an emergency. I need to schedule this for tomorrow." I'm going to look at the schedule and I'm going to say, "Hey, no problem. I'm just going to take and drag and drop your work order to here because that works for him." And it's automatically all updated. So again, getting kind of a holistic view of the work flow of everything throughout the day, but also who it's assigned to and what they all consist of. Awesome. Okay, so let's go back. I'm going to go back to that work order real quick. And let's see. Oops. Let's go into
You can go into Sam and pull up the work order directly from his account.
yeah.
A lot of times, if I already know who I'm working with, I'll do that as a alternative option of looking at the list.
So I'm just going to hit this up. I'm going to go into work orders and we're going to pull up that. Oh, that's not it. That's the.
It's the one right below it, 3-2.
Sorry. Okay. And here we go. So we got the task created. And we're going to go ahead and add what that task consists of, right? So it's a pool cleaning.
Right.
Oops, I think it's under.
And all of these SKUs that you see, they're going to be customizable to how you have it set up and utilize it for your own business.
Well, I'm just going to choose this. So we're going to go ahead and add
Okay.
that in. All right, so that's our item there. And so we're all set to go. So now if I'm the technician and I've completed this job, let's get an outcome here. So.
Right. So at this point, if you wanted to make a note to the customer, like next time you come back, you notice something that you need to bring, or you wanted to notify them, hey, add water to your pool, so it doesn't drop down below the skimmer. These are notes that you can put in this box, and those notes are going to go to the customer. The notes for the next visit, that just is for the technician, is to remind him maybe he needs to bring out an extra box of chemicals or whatnot. And then he can actually drop down and select the SKU and, add that in right there. Yeah, share, let's see, share next.
So that adds the labor, since there was maybe the technician realized there was no labor added in, so he added that in to this, and then we're going to review that, and it's going to come to completing this. So what we're going to now do is we're going to invoice that service and those items that we had done. And what's nice is what Lou does is it now has sent Sam McIntosh an email or a text message, however they prefer, or both, stating that everything's been done, they've received their invoice. If I go to this print option, which is nice, this is what they would view. So here's the service, or here's our information, the customer's information, what was completed, and then the subtotal that is listed here. We also have estimated tax, but in this case, because
It's labor, yeah.
right. So this is just a physical invoice that they would receive via their email, and view that from there. We can then go in and apply a payment, or so for example, if they want to go ahead and pay in full, and we've got this card on file, we'll just go ahead and select card, and then we're going to hit save and close. And what it's going to do is Lou's going to now pull up the card that we have on file, which is listed here, and then we're going to collect a payment of $152.22, and we're going to go ahead and authorize the card. It's just going to confirm that I want to do that, and it's going to process, and we're then going to see that the payment's been successfully collected. And I can actually message this to Sam again, just as a proof of payment. I can also append the link to our customer portal, which has been newly redesigned, and it's great. And we'll show that a little bit later, but we can append the link to their customer portal so that they can view their previous transactions, etc. We can personalize a note to Sam saying, hey, thank you for your service. Here is your receipt of payment, and go ahead and send that. And then if we go in here and we close this out, we then resume back to our landing page for Lou.
Yes.
Excellent. All right. Anything else to comment to that, Kimber?
The only thing I was going to say is I do have some customers that have multiple credit cards on file, and it does allow you to select one as default. And so if you have that situation, then the defaulted one is the one it's going to process. If you wanted to run the other one for some reason, you would just select it right before you process the payment, and it would run that card.
Absolutely. So, and it's all encrypted. So once the card is entered, it can't be viewed, for security
Yes.
purposes as well.
Yeah, you can only see the last 4 digits.
All right. So let's move on to number 2 for the sake of time, and that's Lou inventory. You opened the webinar commenting around Lou inventory and how that's been very helpful for you, not previously knowing how many SKUs do I have? I have no clue, right? So let's talk a little bit about Lou inventory. And for the sheer sake of time, I'm just going to turn it over. And what we'll do is we'll go into our inventory tile, which will show you everything that you've created when it comes to all the inventory SKUs that you have with a brief description. And
Mhm.
then quantities on hand, which we'll talk about in a moment, and then where I can go to make any edits or changes to the SKUs. So a lot of information that's here. And I think for today's purpose, I'm going to go ahead and pull up one of our hot tubs that we have, and then I'll let Kimber talk a little bit about what she uses and sees here.
Okay, so basically, one of the features that Lou has going in is you'll see your SKU number here. You'll see the description over here, SKU number, description, and over to the right hand side, it's going to pull up, and it's going to pull up the same information except for you see the UPC, you'll see your retail, and down below you can see the cost from the vendors. Now, if you were to actually click on SKU profile, that's where you're allotted to make changes. So if you need to edit the SKU or edit the cost, you could go into edit SKU and you would have that ability. And all of this information is just basically setting up your SKU, what the name of it is, if you need a UPC assigned to it, and then the cost and the fixed price. One of the other features that we love to use is the vendor feature, because I have multiple SKUs that would come maybe from 2 different vendors. So say I have 2 vendors here. Well, how are you going to know which one you actually are using? You're able to set a default from the one that you're purchasing from at this time.
So what I think you're referring to is like if you've got multiple vendors that you purchase from, you can create multiple vendors by
Correct.
clicking on this button, but you can actually have one that you want to use as a default,
Right.
so that you don't have to remember, okay, which is the one that we primarily use for this product or this SKU, and I can just indicate it by the actual default badge here.
Exactly. Yes. One of the other things that we really loved about being able to customize the SKUs is we're able to add images. So that was something that was really nice under the SKU profile. And if you click on images, it's going to show you whatever that item is. And this is really helpful for new employees or someone who's not really familiar with what that product might be.
Yeah, so again, another good reference because there's so many pieces and parts and things that are out there. You're kind of like, I have no clue. And by pulling up the SKU and looking at the image, you're kind of like, okay, yeah, that's the one that we're talking about. It matches that. Um, just
Right.
another great reference point for reference.
And I've had numerous occasions with my old system did not have that feature, and I'm like, I just need a button to click so I can see it.
Exactly, exactly. Talk to me a little bit about let's review some of these items like the SKUs
Yeah.
quantities, or as we refer to as kind of quantities on hand. And this is a
So
real-time snapshot of what your
mhm.
inventory is and where it exists. So
Right. So, yeah, each stock site that you have, if you have multiple stores, you can actually select which store location that you're at. You can see underneath this SKU that you have 10 in Portland, 4 in She Shed, 28 in Vancouver. That's how many you have on hand. If you have some that are reserved, this is a feature that we really loved. It's not going to take it completely out of the system, but it is going to mark it as one reserved. And then, for instance, under She Said, shed, excuse me. You have 4 in hand, 1 reserved. So you actually have 3 available that you could sell right now. And then you see that there's 1 over in the estimates. All that's saying is that right now, I have an estimate created. I have that attached to the estimate. If this estimate moves forward into a sell, then it's going to deduct it out of the system, but it won't do it until that process happens.
And
One of, oh, go right ahead.
and just real quick, sorry to interrupt. So when you, in this column of reserve, that could be like if it's on a work order that's still pending, or like a sales
Yes.
order that's still pending. So it's kind of dog-eared for those items. So it's sort of spoken for, but it hasn't been completely transacted. So just kind of putting some differences as to what these columns mean based upon where those quantities reside.
Right. Yeah. With my old system, I had an issue where it would say, "Hey, there's 5," and I would go and there was like 2 and I needed 4. And so this has been really helpful to track our inventory. Over to the right-hand side, you'll see that it says bins. And those bins, you're able to transfer stock. So, if you only had 3 left, but you needed, 5 more, you could transfer stock from another site.
Yep. And we can simply do that here by transferring
Yes.
stock. And if I wanted to say move from the Vancouver store, say to our battleground site, and I'm going to move 2 of those because we've got some pending deliveries there. I can go ahead and process that. I can then see that those quantities have now maneuvered around. So I'm just going to actually, oops, go ahead and refresh this. And you can see that those quantities have moved from the Vancouver store to the She Shed warehouse. I love that name. But
It gets me every time.
exactly. It's like she said, right? Like you said. Anyway, so real powerful way of just kind of transferring stock from one location to another, or one stock site to another, and keeping accuracy with what's within your inventory.
Yes, because this is real time. So soon as it's moved, it is completely changed in the system, and you don't have to wait until you shut down, restart up, or update the system or whatever's needed for those values to be updated. So that's been really, really a great feature for us.
Awesome. All right. Let's take a look at our next item, which is, got to catch up here, is recurring orders. And what I'll say about recurring orders within Lou is Lou does a really nice job at creating, or it's a way to get a lot of the manual work out of creating individual work orders or tasks, and allows you to set a reoccurring item that is going to happen on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis, and you don't have to worry about having to schedule that on an ongoing basis. And so I think this has been one of the biggest things that not only just for Kimber, but for a lot of folks that are out there utilizing Lou, as to where reoccurring orders has been extremely helpful, but it also keeps the timeline appropriate for the customer that's receiving that. So let's dive into that, because I think it's something that is extremely helpful. And I will go to our recurring orders tab here, or tile, and let's create one.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and pull up Mr. McIntosh again, since he's super busy with us. And we're going to go ahead and create a pool cleaning service for him. And we're going to go ahead and create that. And again, you'll see all the formatting is all consistent, like the other documents that we've seen already in the past. So, Kimber, take it
So
away.
Yeah, so from here, you want to set up your reoccurrence. So in the reoccurrence box, you go to update, and what you're going to do here is create the schedule that you want him to be on. In this section, I would put task or either bill, either one, cleaning. So it can be a bi-weekly, it can be a monthly, however you have it set up. In this situation, you have the ability to select, let's say he's a seasonal customer and he's only going to be April through October, whatnot. You can set him up for those specific months. So the months that he is not receiving service from you, he will not receive a bill. Under repeat every, what I typically do is I repeat every month just because we bill at the beginning of our month. And so monthly on day 2, or you can select the first using the calendar feature as well. If you want to bill out on the first Wednesday, whatever your preferences are. And then under end, you can never end it. So basically from April to October, every single year, it's going to reoccur for you. If you do put it on a calendar to place a stop, it's going to stop. And then you would at some point need to reopen and get it going again. But this is a great feature. It takes the work out of it as far as having to go in and enter it every single month.
Yeah, again, you're creating a monthly task that's going to get scheduled for those given timeframes for now and for the future. So we'll go ahead and create that.
Yes.
And here you'll just see kind of a summary as to what you just did. So again, it's a cleaning task for these months, etc.
Right. And if you guys bill bi-weekly, you can set that up to where he receives it. Instead of receiving it on the 2nd, he would receive a bill every other week. It just whatever you guys need to cater to your organization. Yes. So right here is SKUs. What I typically would do here is go ahead and click create.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and then this is going to allow you to select your SKU and what type of service that he's receiving.
You just go here. Oops, help if I spell correctly.
Yeah, there you go, the second one. So pool cleaning labor, you can set it up to be measured by if you have a labor rate per hour, if you have like a fixed price, you can set that up. If you're not charging them for some reason during this time frame, that's an option if you're offering discounts. So right here under fixed price, if you put $100 every single month from April until October, it's going to charge him a flat rate of $100. And you want to make sure you click repeat SKU. And yes, because if you do not do that, then the SKU will not be assigned. So that's really important. Repeat the SKU for every single month that you have available to this customer. And if you want to override the description to say, if you want to name it something special, like bi-weekly cleaning or whatever, then you have the ability to do that. And then just click create. And it's going to show you all the information you just entered. And pretty much from this point, you're going to want to make sure you activate the reoccurring order. If you don't activate it, then basically it's just sitting there kind of on hold waiting. Oh, what did we forget? Let's see.
Oh, we didn't schedule the task.
Oh, yes, that's my fault. Very important. If you would like for it to be on your schedule, your calendar, you want to make sure you go to update underneath schedule task. And it says create task. So then you're going to the task type. So what this is doing is going to tell, on the calendar what type of a appointment it is. So pool cleaning, and then whatever your color code is, and then your assets. And the force assign is if you want to override something on the schedule you're able to assign the personnel there and the vehicle. And that's going to kind of overlook anything that you have scheduled during that time. Let's say maybe that you're kind of like in the same area, so you want to do that at the same time, but you're not necessarily, overriding the other appointment.
So then we'll go ahead and save that.
Yep. And now we're able to go and activate it. And then, are you sure you want to activate this recurring order on the schedule? And you want to click activate. And now from April, starting then, you'll start to see this populate on your schedule monthly. Now, if something was to happen, say they just can't have us clean the pool anymore, maybe they're selling their house, who knows, you can always click hold, and it's going to hold that order until they tell you that they're ready again for your services. Excuse me.
Oops.
Sorry. You can hold it forever. That just says, hey, I don't know when they're going to call me or what we're going to do. So I'll just hold it until they reach back out. Excuse me. And from that point, you'll just reactivate the reoccurring order.
Awesome. And so how were you doing this before, right? So before you implemented Lou within your organization, tell us a little bit about how this was being done before.
So basically, I had a system that I would go into that was not my retail point of sale that I was using. This is a different system. I would go in and I would create the work orders for the guys so they knew where they were going. And then I would go to a third system and I would create a schedule. Excuse me. Not a schedule. I would create an invoice for the customer. So basically I had my systems to where I created work orders and they knew 4 different logins. And what I was doing was basically going in and say if I had 100 pools, I was entering 100 different items per month. Now, at this point, I am going in and I'm creating the recurring order, and it does the work for me for all of those customers each month. So it's been extremely time saving, to say the least.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're fine.
Something happened here that I kind of lost visual. So I apologize, everyone. So you were talking about the
recurring, my process that I was using before. So going in, I was using multiple systems, softwares, to create work orders, to create invoices, the schedule. I literally had 3 or 4 different logins I was bouncing between in order to get all of this information out there to our employees and technicians. And now I'm able to actually do everything in one location. So that was the biggest reason, for us moving to Lou. I was creating, all these invoices every single month. And now I just have to set it up one time. It takes a few minutes and then it will reoccur for me. So I don't have to spend that time every month going in and creating all of the data over and over and over again.
Awesome. Kimber, thanks for, providing a lot of that insight, and I appreciate you sharing everything that you've experienced from Lou. And, again, really, really appreciate you participating in this and joining us today and talking a little bit about how Lou's really helped you and your organization out. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So a little bit about the pricing, and I just kind of want to share with everybody some of the pricing that we have. As you can see, we've got our one stock site options. So we have a pro plan and an enterprise plan, and the pro plan allows you to have one stock site available to yourself, and up to 10 users. And we also have our enterprise plan, which allows you to have multiple stock sites. So for example, if you've got multiple locations, or if you like to have your vehicles as stock sites, you have that ability to create multiple stock sites, which is listed there. Our pro plan starts as our onboarding fee at $1,999. That gets you signed up and gets you into our go live dates for the given month that you have selected during your sign up process. And then once you go through our onboarding process and you go live, and you will start incurring your monthly licensing fees, which are indicated here. Same thing for our enterprise plan at $49.99. Just in essence gives you unlimited licensing as well as unlimited stock sites. Whereas the pro plan is just the single stock site.
Yeah, I mean, when we first, with the onboarding fees and all of that, all of the time that it has saved me, it's totally worth it. I mean,
Yeah,
I couldn't operate with any other system. I mean, I would be going back to 4 or 5 different softwares if I did that.
sure.
And there's just no way I could keep up. But one of the things, like it says down here for the seasonal licenses, I really like that feature, because of the fact that if I have a seasonal employee and then say, the winter comes and they're not here, then we just toggle off. And so we're not paying for that employee for that month that are not here, or however many months that may be. And then say they come back every year, then we can toggle them right back on and nothing changes. They're still able to log on just as they did before. So it's really nice. You can kind of turn it on and off as needed.
Yeah, and that's a great point. And thank you for mentioning that, because it is one of the unique features that we have in our billing platform. So say, for example, if I've got 10 licenses and I'm headed into my slow part of the season and I really only need 5 of those, I can inactivate those licenses. And what our billing platform does is Lou looks backwards and says, hey, how many licenses did you have active last month? And then I'm only going to bill you for those licenses that were active versus all 10, because you went into the process of inactivating those licenses will allow you to then not be charged for it until you reactivate those licenses accordingly. So very unique. And again, the commitment that you have is to us as Lou is lose month to month. You can actually change those licensing activity, or the active or inactive, whenever it's appropriate for your business.
Yeah, you can change it every month if you need to.
Absolutely.
I mean, and a lot of softwares, once you get into the pricing, you're just stuck with what you have. There's um no flexibility.
Exactly. All right. Well, I think that does it. Again, I want to thank everyone for joining. I want to be sensitive to everyone's time. We ran a little bit over, but I do appreciate everyone joining today. First and foremost, to all of you who did join, but then also Kimber, again, thank you so much for allowing us to set up meetings prior to today's webinar, and allowing yourself to have those conversations to get today's content all set up and ready to go. And just really do appreciate your time and willingness to have this. And I hope that was helpful and everyone saw some value in that. So again, thank you. All right. Well, again, check out our demo website for our demonstration, Lou demonstration calendar. You can visit that, like I had mentioned earlier, at the top of the webinar at our Evisys website. And then if you just go to our Evisys website and click on our CA demo, you'll be able to see our webinars that are up and coming next week. We're going to be talking a little bit more specifically about scheduling those tasks and those work orders that are out there, and talk a little bit about route optimization and looking at the schedule from a dispatcher's perspective as well as to a technician's perspective. And then we have a few other webinars that are scheduled for the weeks thereafter. But I really appreciate everyone joining today, and go check out our future webinars, and we'll hope to see you next time. And again, Kimber, thank you so much. And it was great working with you, and we'll hope to talk soon.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.